And today on Serial Killer TikTok, serial killer Ed Kemper was 6'9". That might be a height that we can't really put into our minds, so I'm going to help you out. This is what 6'9" looks like. Right there. I'm 6'3". He's 6'9". He weighs about the same amount as Ed Kemper did. And the way Ed Kemper got women into his vehicle with him is he would stop, ask them if they needed help, and when they looked at him, he would look at his watch to make it seem like he was busy and didn't have time to hurt them. And they would feel safe and go with him. So we have about the same size phones. This is his phone in his hands. Yeah. Put your hand here. Yeah. That's all I got.
Does this house look familiar? It belongs to this young lady, Dorothea Puente. If you like murder, which is why you're here, you probably know who she is, but I have some interesting facts for you. In 1982, she was convicted of theft for drugging and stealing from one of her boarders at her boarding house and did 3 years in prison, where she met a pen pal, a lovely man from Oregon who picked her up from prison in his red Ford pickup. They talk about marriage. Not long after that, she hired someone to install some wood paneling in her house. And she paid him with a red Ford pickup. Then hired him to build a box, a 6x3 by 2 foot box for books and things. Then they drove somewhere and dumped it where you dump miscellaneous household things. Surprise! Her boyfriend's body was in it. She hired a local homeless alcoholic man to dig up the basement. Then he went missing. The house is definitely haunted.
Stupid Ways That Serial Killers Have Gotten Caught, Part 8. This is Israel Keys. Keys is an American serial killer, rapist, arsonist, burglar, and bank robber. He admitted to crimes going back to 1996, but he wasn't captured until 2012. It is believed that he has victims all across America, one in Alaska, some in Washington, New York State, even a couple out of the country. He was a busy guy. But he got caught because he got greedy. He kidnapped Samantha Koenig in Anchorage, Alaska. Sends her family pictures with her eyes sewn open so that he can say that she's alive and request money for ransom. He gets caught because as he's traveling across America, leaving Alaska, he's using her debit card and continually requesting ransom money. He had no victim profile and he killed anybody that he needed for any reason.
And tonight on Serial Killer TikTok, one of the Zodiac letters have been deciphered. A letter he sent in 1969, known as the 340 cipher, has been cracked. Now, this doesn't reveal the killer's name. I'm sure you want to know what the message says. So, it says, "I hope you are having a lot of fun in trying to catch me." That wasn't me on the TV show, which brings up a point about me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it'll send me to paradise all the sooner. Because I now have enough slaves to work for me, where everyone else has nothing when they reach paradise. They are afraid of death. I am not afraid because I know that my new life will be an easy life in paradise death. This is the second time a Zodiac cipher has been cracked.
Stupid Ways That Serial Killers Have Been Caught, Part 1. This guy is Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, and he was pretty prolific from 1984 to 1985 in LA because he would just break into people's houses, use anything in the house to kill everybody in the house. But it all ended one night when a 13-year-old boy noticed Ramirez in his backyard. He called the police, and Ramirez ran off in a bright orange Toyota. Ramirez ditches the car, and the police are able to find it because, duh, it's a bright orange Toyota. They link his fingerprints to a previous crime. Ramirez runs to Arizona, but when he gets back to LA, he's in a random store, and he sees his face all over the newspapers. He panics, and he tries to steal a car in East LA. Unlucky for him, people are not too fond of carjackers, and the locals beat his ass. He spends the rest of his life in jail thanks to an observant 13-year-old and an angry mob.
The differences between male and female serial killers. Males typically kill for sexual gratification, whether that's psychological or physical, and their victim's identity matters less. They typically kill strangers. In contrast, 90% of female serial killers know their victims, and they tend to kill for practical or justifiable reasons, at least in their minds, with the most common motivation being financial gain.
And today on Serial Killer TikTok, the youngest known serial killer was 8 years old. Amardeep Sada was charged with 3 murders in 2007. Sorry I can't expand on that right now. I am very cold. My house still has no power. I'm gonna go get back under the blankets next to the fire.
Creepy quotes from serial killers, part 1. It's your boy Ted Bundy. You feel the last bit of breath leaving their body. You are looking into their eyes. A person in that situation is God. I don't feel guilty for anything. I feel sorry for those who feel guilt. What's one less person on this earth anyway? I am the most cold-hearted son of a bitch you will ever meet. Murder is not just a crime of lust or violence. It becomes a possession. They are a part of you. The victim becomes a part of you, and you two are forever one, and the grounds where you kill them or leave them become sacred to you, and you will always be drawn back to them. Society wants to believe it can identify evil people or bad or harmful people, but it's not practical. There's no stereotypes. We serial killers are your sons. We are your husbands. We are everywhere, and there will be more of your children dead tomorrow. I deserve, certainly, the most extreme punishment society has. I think society deserves to be protected from me and others like me.
And tonight on Serial Killer TikTok, there are 6 phases of the serial killer cycle. I gotta open up this door, the acoustics are crazy. Phase 1 is the aura phase, where the serial killer will begin to lose grip on reality. Phase 2 is the trolling phase. This is where the serial killer tries to find a victim. Then you have the wooing phase as phase 3. This is where he lures his victim in. This is where the victim is entrapped. 5 is the murder or totem phase. This is the emotional high for the killer. And the final phase, phase 6, is the depression phase, which occurs after the killing. Tomorrow I'll try to cover the 4 categories of motives.
Since a lot of you guys know the name but not what actually happened, today we're going to be talking about Eric and Lyle Menendez. Pictured right, Joseph Lyle Menendez was born on January 10th, 1968 in New York City, New York. He's the oldest of the 2 brothers. Pictured left, which most of you guys know, is Eric Gala Menendez, who's born on November 27th, 1970 in Blackwood, New Jersey. He's the youngest of the 2 brothers. Both brothers grew up in a very wealthy family, with their father being Jose and their mother Mary, who went by the name of Kitty. On the evening of August 20th, 1989, Eric and Lyle entered their living room where their father and their mother was sitting. Both were holding shotguns. Jose suffered a single gunshot wound to the back of the head. Kitty, on the other hand, tried to run away when she heard the gunshots. She was then shot in the leg while running, slipped on her blood, then shot in the arms, chest, and in the face, leaving her unrecognizable. Eric and Lyle also shot both of their parents in the kneecaps to try and connect it to a similar crime.
And today on Serial Killer TikTok, let's talk about Jeffrey Dahmer, or specifically what they found during the arrest after his would-be 18th victim escaped. They found torsos dissolving in an industrial-sized can filled with acid. Human remains stored in the freezer. Even bleached skulls found in his closet, which he had plans for. After they apprehended him, he let them know that had they caught him 6 months later, they would have walked in on an altar made of bone and skull. Included in the design was a black leather chair, a place where Dahmer could sit, a place where he says he could feel at home.
Serial killer quotes, part 3. This is Richard Ramirez. Even psychopaths have emotions. Then again, maybe not. In the end, we all die and nothing really matters. Serial killers do on a small scale what governments do on a large one. They are products of our times, and these are bloodthirsty times. You don't understand me. You're not expected to. You're not capable of it. I am beyond your experience. I've been accused of almost every crime you can imagine. In today's society, people use those qualities. I call them qualities for all things. It is for self-gratification, it's for sex, it's for excitement. This kind of fervor serves its own purpose. It doesn't obey rules, it runs amok. You see it on the news every day, but society cannot hang its moral and ethical values on me to survive. I do what I must in all ways, and I'm proud of it. The necessity to be myself passes all moral barriers. We've all got the power in our hands to kill, but most people are afraid to use it. The ones who aren't afraid control life itself. Big deal. Death comes with the territory. See you in Disneyland.
And today on Serial Killer TikTok. In an effort to establish precise criminal classifications, the FBI distinguishes between serial killings and spree killings. A serial killer always experiences an emotional cooling off period, and that can last anywhere from days to years. A spree killer, in contrast, is someone who murders a string of people in several locations without any kind of cooling off period. Was that better?
Serial Killer Quotes, Part 3, Eileen Wernos. If you can't be a good example, be a horrible warning. I am a serial killer. I would kill again. To me, the world is nothing but evil, and my own evil just happened to come out because of the circumstances of what I was doing. People always look down their noses at hookers, never give you a chance because they think you took the easy way out. When no one would imagine the willpower it took to do what we do, walking the streets night after night, taking the hits and still getting back up. And I do have to say one thing. Their families must realize that no matter how much they love these people that died, no matter how much they love them, they were bad people because they were going to hurt me. Dead men don't rape. They say it's the number of people I killed. I say it's the principle. Thanks a lot, society, for railroading my ass. And lastly, it shouldn't matter who you are or what your workplace is. Self-defense is self-defense. No one has the right to lay any physical abuse on anyone.
And today on Serial Killer TikTok, I'm back in Oklahoma, and because of that, I want to do an Oklahoma serial killer. Nanny Doss. By the time she had stopped her brutal reign over her family in the late 50s, she had murdered 4 of her husbands, 1 mother-in-law, 2 sisters, a grandson, a nephew, 2 of her own children, and even her own mother. And she never broke a smile, and was nicknamed the Giggling Granny. With just a little poison, she killed every family member that disagreed with her. Doss was sentenced to life in prison and died in 1965. And if this is your first night on Serial Killer TikTok, you have to comment in the comment section below. Thank you. Bye.
Terrifying facts about serial killers. John Wayne Gacy, the clown killer, had so many bodies hidden underneath his house that they started to melt together, and it took 2 years to get all the bones and make one perfect skeleton. Jeffrey Dahmer, towards the end, right before he got caught, had so many bodies in his house that he stored one in the bathtub and then continued to shower over that dead body despite it being right below him. Jeffrey Dahmer also didn't eat people with tattoos, specifically because he said that they tasted weird. Ted Bundy literally just declined his last meal. Ted Bundy was also very involved with politics because of how charming and how gifted he was mentally, and he was almost in the race to become governor of Washington. And on top of that, when he was talking to his lawyer, he actually claimed to kill over 100 people, which is 70 more than the 30 he got charged for. Make sure to follow me for more scary facts and fun facts.
And tonight on Serial Killer TikTok, let's do a Colorado serial killer. Scott Lee Kimball. Scott Lee Kimball. He was imprisoned for fraud and convinced the FBI to let him out as an informant. During those years, free from jail, he killed 4 people. One of those including his uncle, and another one of those being his cellmate's girlfriend. After a brutal car chase, he pled guilty to all 4 murders and is currently serving a 70-year sentence. Scott Lee Kimball.
Let's talk about the different kinds of serial killers and their motivations, and this is going to be a 4-part series. Let's talk about the first one, the visionary. The visionary believes that they are killing for some reason or something of a higher purpose is telling them to do it. Visionary killers are normally psychotic and disorganized. They suffer from delusions and hallucinations, pick random targets and lack planning, believe they're being commanded to kill, and there's little or no effort to cover up their crimes at all. A good example of a visionary killer would be Richard Chase. Between 1977 and 1978, he killed 13 people. His reasoning? He thought his blood was turning into powder, and that in order to continue living, he would need to replenish his own blood with the blood of others. Another good example of a visionary killer is this guy, Herbert Mullen, who killed 13 people between 1972 and 1973, and these were all sacrifices. Herbert had a deep delusion that there was going to be a massive earthquake in California, and that if he could sacrifice enough people, he'd be able to stop it. Stupid ways that serial killers get caught. Part 2. This guy right here is the BTK killer, aka Dennis Radar. You'd think getting away with 10 murders over the course of 14 years would make a person happy, but not Dennis. Randomly in 2004, he just starts sending packages to the local police department with evidence against him. When one of them goes missing, he writes to the police and says, "Hey, you totally missed my package at the local Home Depot." So the cops look and see that there's definitely a black Jeep that left this package. In one of his letters to the police, he asks, "Hey, can you trace people through floppy disks?" And the police respond, "Nah, you're good, bruh." A couple weeks later, he sends a floppy disk to a local TV station. It was given to the police, and of course, they're able to trace him. They find a recently deleted file that says his name, which they trace. He's a local pastor. They go to his house. They find the black Jeep from the video.
Did you know there was a bear serial killer? It happened in 1915 in Psychopath in Japan. Throughout November, a lone brown bear repeatedly showed up in the town. The townspeople managed to shoot it on November 30th. It left blood-stained footsteps as it ran away, and the settlers thought it had learned its lesson. 10 days later, the same bear showed up, broke into a settler's home, killed a woman and her baby, and disappeared into the forest. A search party was assembled, and they found the bear immediately, managing to shoot it once, but it survived and escaped into the woods again. The villagers believed the bear had a taste for humans and stayed on guard all night. When the bear reappeared, they shot at it and followed it into the woods, but it hadn't gone into the woods. It went to another family home, broke through their window, and killed 4 more people. Everyone fled the village, and a famous bear hunter named Yamamoto was hired. The bear hunter identified the bear as Kesagake, a bear who had killed 3 other women in different towns. Over 3 days, while a 6-person government sniper team and 60 armed men combed the forest, Yamamoto, who knew Kesagake's behavior from previous encounters, tracked the bear down and shot him in the heart, ending his reign of terror.